All right, touching on the top bets in NBA today. Also going to give you guys a couple of bets in both NHL and PGA to use with a very solid NBA bet that we have to start out this video. I'll be coming back to this bet as the video progresses, as we get into like the night games, but I wanted to get this out to you guys first because I want you guys to be able to place it if it's still there, because I don't think it'll be there throughout the day. Currently, DK Sportsbook has LeBron James over 31.5 points set at -150. And I want to point this out as well, like the under is set at +120 as well. So they are basically giving LeBron James about a 60% or a 60% chance to hit this over. So I wanted to give you guys that right now because I think throughout the day it's not going to be there. Maybe the odds on DK Sportsbooks go down for LeBron here, but it probably only going down to like 135, -135, or the points are going to go up on PrizePicks. One or the two are going to happen. So, just take advantage of those odds because those are, you don't really get those. -150 is very strong. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the rest of the picks for today. All right, so looking at the Sixers versus the Thunders, this is more or less one that I see in which you could stack. And really, if you are trying to stack it, once again, it'd be kind of favoring the Sixers. Okay, so I'm kind of going to go through it player by player here. So just looking at it, these two teams met not too long ago. Okay. And I would say the Detroit game was kind of a similar game as well, in which Philly is high favorites to win. So just looking at it, guys, -10 to win. The over and under is set at 233. So that kind of tells me that Embiid has a good chance to really go off. The worry is that he only put up 16 points against them in the previous game. Okay, but let's look at that a little bit further. So it's not like he didn't have a good game. They just, one, didn't need him to get the minutes, and two, he went off elsewhere. Okay, it's kind of like Sengun last night where he had a triple-double. The points weren't there, but the production was. And so maybe we try to chase that production in a way if we're worried about like kind of everyone else eating per se, and he doesn't get the points. 1 6 for 7 as well. Wasn't exactly shooting the ball well, but at the same time, let's say he does shoot the ball well, which, probably going to, like, not too hard to get there. And so really with Joel Embiid, what we have to decide here, because I do think we want to kind of try to target Embiid here, is do we want to do points, rebounds, and assists, which you could do. Obviously, he's been over that against Thunder. Missed it, though. Okay, and that's, once again, that's the worries that on paper, great matchup and everything, but you do worry about that. Now, I want to point this out. Like, if the game's a blowout, we do expect that he's going to be, probably not playing that much in the second half. But in the last game, we can see, did have 12 points in the first half. In a game in which he wasn't shooting the basketball well, was able to still get 12 points. So if he shoots the ball a little bit better, not hard to imagine him getting that over. And then same thing with points, rebounds, and assists, not that far away from getting that as well. And so like with Ja Morant yesterday, he hit both, but if you are worried about the game being a blowout and worried about the player not getting that final rotation, thus kind of reducing the sample size, and thus kind of reducing the likelihood of them being able to hit their over, you could do Joel Embiid over first half points. And just looking at the odds, guys, far from a lock. Okay, -125, not great odds, but at the same time, we would be chasing the matchup here. So just looking at other players in that matchup, just kind of showing you guys, Shai, only 14 points in that, 6 rebounds, 5 assists. So if we are worried about that game potentially being a blowout, it wouldn't be a bad idea then to maybe bet the under. That's obviously for you guys to decide there. If you think it's going to be a blowout, you could potentially do that. Maybe that's a stack that you could do, bet Embiid over and then Shai under. Now, Giddey is someone that actually has been someone that's been playing well as of recent. And if you just look at what he did against them, 20 points. And so I feel like if you were trying to play a Thunder player to get the over, I feel like Giddey in some way or the other would be the route that you would want to go. And it'd probably be in the points department, which I don't exactly love either. And then just looking at like James Harden, I don't think we need to try to force him in at all. Maybe you do rebounds, could do assists as well. Like if you're trying to play him, I think that would be the route that you could go, or you would potentially be doing points, rebounds, and assists. And maybe you just do that for the first half as well if you are worried about the game being a blowout. And guys, I kind of have to do the board this way because, well, once again, like it's a little bit too early to have all the full odds, and I just don't know when we're going to get those odds. So I just want to get into Charlotte versus Detroit, a team that just met up in the previous game, so we could potentially see some edges there in this game. So to me, the first one that stands out is still going to be Pascal Siakam over 25.5 points. And once again, just kind of referring back to DK Sportsbook, I want to point this out because we can see it. -135 to hit the over and +105 to hit the under. Okay, so those are pretty good odds. They are telling us that they think Siakam has a 57% chance to hit that over. And obviously, it's great that he had already done that. The issue with Siakam would be the fact that, he does only average 28 or 25.8 points per game. So we're kind of getting him right at the average, but given the matchup, you like him a little bit more because, it's going to be a little bit easier to score. This is his top 3 matchup on today's slate. So the chances are that he's going to be efficient, and the chances are that he is going to be able to score that much. But let's see if there's a better bet to make, because we can see he had 8 rebounds, 7 assists, 28 points. Let's see if there's a better bet that we could potentially make. So points, rebounds, and assists. I don't know if that's exactly better. You could chase that if you want. Obviously, I had 43 last game. That's pretty tight. That's a pretty tight spread to me. And so I kind of want to look at first half as well, just real quick with Siakam, 12.5. And we can see like that's on paper, that is the most appealing. 3 out of the last 5 games, he's been able to get that over. But the thing with first half points is we are reducing the sample size down, thus kind of reducing the odds for him to hit that fully. But his odds on the full slate were what? 25.5. His odds on the first half, 12.5. So that is setting his point total at 25 total. Okay, so if you're kind of worried about that half a point on the full one, this would be the approach to go with, because in theory this should be 13 or in between 12.5 and 13 basically. And then points, rebounds, and assists, he was over that, and he has been pretty consistent here as well throughout the first half. So obviously, given the matchup, you kind of expect him to be able to get closer to that over. And so why might we chase the first half points? Well, the Raptors are favored by 7.5 points. So if Charlotte can't keep it close, it's beneficial to chase the first half, because yes, we can't predict when a blowout is going to happen. We can't predict if they're going to get their final rotation, how many minutes they are going to get in their final rotation, or if the blowout occurs during their final rotation. But if the Raptors are favored to win by 7.5 points, that means a lot of the Raptors players are going to be productive. And it's just more or less, when does that occur? And then so looking at some other player props here, the ball, 23.5 points. Do we have to play that? I'm not exactly sure. He didn't really shoot the ball that well in the previous game, 9 for 22. I mean, that's pretty bad. But that's 2 straight games in which he hasn't really shot the ball all too well. I mean, 4 for 9 from 3-point, you would take that as well, but only 24 points. And we can see he's actually been under that a decent amount. And so really it is, it's a close one. 23.5 is close. And I don't know, that half a point there where he's been over that barely a few times. Like, I feel like that's correct. I feel like we shouldn't be chasing that. OG was someone that we liked on the previous slate with this game. I think his was set at 15.5. And now, given the fact that it's 16.5, I don't know if I want to chase that. I feel like that is going to be a little bit too high. Now, yes, he does get that same great matchup that Siakam gets, and the same great matchup that he was able to take advantage of as well. I worry that it's a little bit too high now. And kind of a better approach, like if you were trying to chase the matchup with OG, I feel like would be the points, rebounds, and assists. It's going to be a much closer spread. Given the matchup, you kind of expect him to be able to get this over like he was in the previous game with 27, but it should be close. Like it is OG, not the first option, not the second option on that team. So there is some risk built in there. Okay, so this play is going to be pretty much predicated on the fact that I am assuming both Kelly Oubre and also Gordon Hayward are going to be out, because that makes it a much more appealing bet. It's kind of like last night with the Bucks Atlanta stack with Trae Young being out. It's like, no, we can't do that stack anymore. It's not as appealing because individually those players were not the best, but like together in a stack, it made sense. It correlated. That's kind of how I feel about PJ Washington tonight, where if one of those two are active, that really reduces PJ Washington as a play, especially points wise. So we can see PJ Washington, not a terrible play, and he came so close to getting the over in the previous game. I think it might have been set at 14.5, so really just needed a bucket, and now it's dropped down 1. And the thing with the Washington is that in that game, only shot the ball 8 times, and he was at 13 points for really like the last 20 minutes or so of that game, maybe 24 minutes of that game. It was frustrating, honestly, for me. I think I had a parlay out there with 4 players, and he was the one that didn't hit, and it was a game stack there. So I still don't mind him. Probably should get there. I mean, 8 shot attempts, that wasn't that much, and we can see he has been getting more shot attempts per game than that really for quite a while. So given the fact that he was still able to get to 13 points while having his least amount of shot attempts in over 2 weeks, that's going to be appealing to me. But once again, if Hayward's back, which he's not expected to be, if Terry Rozier's back, not Terry Rozier, Kelly Oubre's back, then you wouldn't play him. And Kelly's not going to be back. I'm sorry. It's just 4 to 6 weeks he's out. So don't have to worry about that. What we'd be worrying about is Gordon Hayward. And so this could be an okay kind of stack that you would run out, just a small one, something like this. I don't mind. And what I find interesting is that they're not giving us anything on Mason Plumlee yet, who has been kind of a stud for us really the last 3 slates. So it'll be interesting to see where they price him at, because he has been a little bit lower than what his recent production has been. So I'm just curious to see what that'll be at on PrizePicks today. So don't really have a lean as to where I would go because he has been pretty efficient shooting the basketball to be able to get those points, but could be a good one. I mean, obviously 21, 18, 17, if his like over and under is set at like 12.5, which I think it's kind of been the last few nights, you could be looking at Mason Plumlee. And then from there, we're going to be looking at that Dallas versus Lakers game. So it is projected to be a close game, and it is projected to be a higher scoring game. Obviously, that's all appealing. And I already pointed out LeBron James, 31.5 points. Okay, it hasn't been adjusted on DK Sportsbook, hasn't been adjusted on PrizePicks just yet. So we are still good. This is obviously like the one we should be trying to chase, but let's look into it a little bit more. So first and foremost, the Lakers are pretty banged up. You got AD out still. You got Pat Bev, questionable. Lonnie Walker out, Reeves out, Troy Brown, he's currently questionable as well. So we need to get news that LeBron's for sure going to play. Obviously, if he doesn't, oh well. Looking at though, last game out against Dallas, 38 points. So he already hit that over of today, 31 points just in that first game against Dallas. And that was a very high scoring game. And the Lakers lost by 9. So given the fact that the spread is going to be closer, the risk for that game being a blowout is reduced a little bit more. And we can see like recently, guys, he's been able to get that over a decent amount. And just given how high scoring of a game that is, given that Vegas likes that, it's going to be tough not to play LeBron James tonight. And that's kind of it as it sits right now. Don't love any of the other ones. So I'm going to go ahead and give you guys, once again, some other bets that are looking pretty good on paper that you could potentially pair with LeBron James, because obviously this is the one we want to use. And so like last night where I was able to give you guys my top bet to be able to cash using an NHL player, I think we could potentially go back to that. But first I'm going to start off with like a golf one. So I don't love these too much just yet. So looking at the Sony Open tournament, it is a easier scoring event. So pretty much there should be more birdies made. And looking at Vegas's odds, they're giving Jordan Spieth like minus 150. And let's look at strokes. They're giving him minus 150 to shoot better than 6.5 or 67 strokes. So what you would do if you were choosing to bet this, you'd bet less, just to make that clear for those that don't do golf. The expectation is that he would shoot better than this. You could also go with someone like Brian Harman, who it's kind of the same odds as Jordan, to be able to hit under these shot, less than these strokes. Okay, so both not bad bets. They should be good, should be solid there. So if you want to go with Jordan, you could. But I actually found some decent NHL ones once again tonight. So the first one is going to be the one from 2 nights ago that we used for the Taco Tuesday to cash those ones. He is still minus 140, which is what he was 2 nights ago, to get more than 2.5 shots on goal. So that is saying that he has a 58% chance to get more than 2.5 shot attempts. Obviously, those are pretty good odds. Those are odds that are in our favor. So if we are pairing him with LeBron or with Jordan that have those minus 150, those 60% likelihood, that is a pretty good chance that some version of this 2-leg bet would hit. Those are good odds. And another one that was kind of appealing, we can see he's been over this a few times now, every time over the last 5 slates. I don't want to butcher his name, Backlund. His odds to hit the over are minus 135. So also very good odds. And we can see, been consistently getting there, but that also tells me that he's probably due to have a game that's going to be under that as well. So for now, I want to do Jordan just because like golf, I do golf and that's kind of my specialty, but at the same time, it's a trickier track and like Jordan could struggle off the tee, and I wouldn't mind doing like Brian Harman with this 67.5, but we can see he's only been under there once and he's been right around there. So not terrible. And he's been playing much better recently. And that's why it makes for a good bet there. But I think I'm going to stick with the hockey. Just it's been working out. I just worry that I'm dipping into the hockey pool a little bit too much. Really just trusting the odds there. So right now, as it sits, this is going to be the bet that I'm going to chase, and hopefully we can cash once again tonight. Yeah, it's looking pretty solid. So hopefully you guys have a good night betting. I will say, with yesterday's inactives like DNP with Kevin Huerter, obviously that changes the dynamic of the bets a little bit and the slate a little bit, and then obviously Trae Young. I'm trying to figure out a way in which I might do like a blog write-up that I update slightly throughout the day, post the bets in there from the morning video in there, and then obviously if they change throughout the day, like with yesterday with Trae Young being inactive, that changed really the whole purpose and dynamic of that bet. I might do that, and if there are other ones that pop up throughout the day that are looking like they would be good bets that we want to attack, I might put it in there, and that's just something I could consistently update throughout the day to thus provide you guys easy access to the information. I don't think putting it into the comment section would be the best route to go, like a thread in the comment section. I think doing a separate blog would be the best. And what I could do is put the link to that blog in the write-up. So that might be something I try to do maybe starting next Monday. So we'll see. Gotta see if that'd be worthwhile. Okay, that's all I have for you guys. Let's have a good sight. And as always, let's keep cashing.